Here's a clip from the Southwestern Lead app.
So I'm going to put a quote up in a second. I'm going to circle back to this one, but a couple of important quotes. Worrying is the misallocation of someone's imagination. One of my favorite quotes. You have this powerful part of your brain called your imagination. When you were a kid, you could climb in a cardboard box, and suddenly you'd be in a spaceship on the way to the moon, right? And adults still have that part of their brain called the imagination. They just don't use it for cool stuff like that anymore. Instead, what they do is it's called worrying. Worrying is a verb. I am speaking right now. You were eating earlier. You can be present tense right now worrying. That's a verb, right? What are we doing while we're worrying? What we're doing is we're using our imagination to be a little movie director in our head and direct a movie about a future event that we do not want to have happen, a bad thing. What if I fail this test? What if my boyfriend dumps me? You know, like future event bad. And then we just watch that movie over and over and over on loop. And we feel the feelings of crappiness even though they haven't happened yet, right? That's what we are doing while we're worrying, right? So it's the misallocation of your imagination. So as weird as this sounds, when you add some clarity to the long-range picture of your life, you spend less time worrying because, most people don't believe me when I say this, but I just don't worry. Which is really a weird thing to say, but I believe it's a choice. Like I said, it's a verb, and when you find yourself worrying, you can just go, that's dumb, and just stop, you know? But it requires some strategy. And then the other one that I said I would circle back is less comparison. This is another one of my favorite quotes. Just because someone wins doesn't mean you have to lose. This is one of those abundance mentality things that's really hard to grasp. And I could probably do a 30-minute dissertation on this quote, but just win your game. But in order for you to be on pace to win your game, you have to first clarify what is your game, right? So this is my recommendation to you guys. Assignment number 1, this is a thinking assignment. I give it to a lot of juniors and seniors. I think it's a useful thing to do when you're your age. Write your chapter 20, ready? This is a takeaway. You guys can do this on the airplane or whatever. If we are in the process of writing the novel of your life, first, couple questions. First, who's the author? You're the author, right? You're the author. Second, how many rewrites do you get? How many of these books do you get to write? One. Only one, no rewrites. Chapters 1 through 5, most of you guys if it's a 20-chapter book, most of you guys are on chapter 5, roughly, right? 1 through 5, written in ink. Nothing you can do about those. Not worth spending a lot of time dwelling on them. Reread them once in a while for wisdom or whatever, but not a good place to live. 7 through 20, no clue. Most of you guys, this is how it's been. It's like 1 through 5 written in ink. I got a pretty good idea what 6 looks like. You know, I'm going to take these classes. I'll graduate on this date. 7 is like house ? Kids ? Career ? You know, kind of this murky idea of what your chapter 7 might look like. And then 8 through 20, never even thought about it. So that's ridiculous because think about how novelists actually write novels. Do you guys think the person who wrote Harry Potter just went, hey, she just totally wrote out full text chapter 1 with no plan for the story and just went, nah, that was a cool chapter. Let's see where it goes in chapter 2. You know, like, that's not how they write novels. What they do is they plan out the skeleton of the whole story, where the plot twists happen and the bad guys win and the good guys come back at the end, you know, like, and then they go back, they make like storyboards, and then they go back and fill in the details, right? This is your one and only novel. This is the one and only novel. So my question is, if it's the greatest story ever written, by your definition of greatness, how does it end? Why wouldn't you take a guess at the grand finale of your novel? You guys with me on this? And this is a concept you could describe to a regular old kindergartner and they would get it, but very few people think like this in the world because most people wind up at the middle of the bell curve. So what I want you guys to do is write your chapter 20. Pretend it's your real novel. The assignment is to write a first-person, present tense journal entry from the perspective of you as a 100-year-old. So this is how it looks. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm 100 years old and my life's been a complete success. Let me tell you about my life. And then you hit all the pillars. Describe what your family would be like as a 100-year-old, what your faith was like, what was your attitude. Finances, you can describe your physical wealth. You can describe how many houses you have, what kind of private jet you have, what kind of inheritance your kids are going to get, whatever it might be. What are your contributions to society? Notice I didn't put career there, right? I put contributions to society there. What did you contribute? What's the value of your work? And most importantly, what kind of character are you? What are they going to say about you at your funeral? What are the principles that matter that define you, right? And should this be specific? Yes, but don't get hung up on like, well, if I don't know what my career is going to be 5 years from now, how am I supposed to know what the end of my life? It's just like, get as specific as you can, but I'm not asking you to plan out 6-month checkpoints all the way. You don't have to write chapter 7 through 20. I just want you to write chapter 20. You guys with me on that?
Yeah.
Southwestern Lead is an international leadership program that helps you build skills, gain confidence, and discover new opportunities. With professional coaching, a world-class digital learning platform, and certifications that will enhance your resume or application, Lead sets you apart. We'll show you how to turn success principles into success habits through small group training, one-on-one coaching, and guided action plans to help you apply what you're learning. It takes more than academics to reach your goals. See what one of America's oldest leadership training programs can do for you. Visit southwesternlead.com.
And then also, this is a rough draft. This is a creative writing exercise. I'm not going to check in on you guys when you're 100 and make sure that you stuck to your original blueprint. These can change. You should revisit them once in a while. My original one, A, I thought I was going to own a private island in the Bahamas. B, I thought I was going to own a private jet. And C, there's no way I would have thought I was going to become a native Floridian because I hadn't met Amy yet. That was not on my radar, right? So first of all, I don't want an island or I don't want a private jet. And if you guys want to argue with me on that, I can explain the tax ramifications of both and convince you not to own an island. And then also, now I'm a Floridian because these plans can change. But the point is, when you do this, what you're doing is you're choosing a spot way off on the horizon. Way off. And everybody's thing is going to be different. Everybody's chapter 20 is going to sound way different, right? Good. At least it adds some clarity to what steps you're taking next. Is the next step bringing you closer to that or further away? Everybody okay with this? And then the second assignment is called the dream job list. My problem in 2009, I was still doing this through my first 4 summers. Okay? So every summer I was like, maybe I'll come back, maybe I won't. Okay, I guess I'll come back, right? Then at the end of my 4th summer, I went backpacking through Europe. I had graduated at that point. Woo, college grad. And when I came back, I carried on to assemble a menu of what I might do next, right? And it was very much like going to a restaurant. I chose a Mexican restaurant here. So over here it says, like burrito, and then it has the description of the burrito, and then the price, right? So it was like financial planner with Edward Jones, job description, dress code, so on, how much I could make, right? And I started to put together these potential options, even though there were hundreds of other companies I hadn't looked at, plus I could start my own, plus I could join the Peace Corps, plus I could do whatever. But no. My uncle wants me to work with him. I know I could jump into Edward Jones if I wanted to. There's all these sister companies, and I started to assemble a menu, right? And every time I added a bullet point, it stressed me out, because if I said maybe financial planner, well, now there's like 60 financial planning companies that I'd have to look into. It's like every time I added one, I realized I had to add 10 more. And this is the type of FOMO that you guys will experience when you get to this part of your life. And so I propose, again, a better way. What I was told, the way I was counseled was, instead of doing that, where you do the menu strategy, decide your specific search criteria for what you want, right? So how you do that is you take a blank piece of paper out and you write the words dream job across the top. Very simple exercise. It's just a complete list of everything that you would need in order to call your job a dream job. Notice the rules. You can't use job title. You can't say, I want to be a neurosurgeon. You can say, I want a high-risk, high-reward, high-intensity job, or you can say, I want a job where I'm literally saving people's lives, but you can't use the term neurosurgeon, okay? And you probably shouldn't even use industry. If you're like, man, what I want to do is I want to get into renewable energies. A better way to say that is, I want to do something that's going to help the environment for future generations. You with me on this? So, but I'm talking dress code, culture, driving distance, salary, income potential, upward mobility, mentorship, whatever, what state you want to live in, as much as you can get down. It's a total brainstorm, right? And when I did this, what happened was I realized I made a really big list, and I started to kind of consolidate them and merge them together. And the finish point was this: money. You can call that superficial if you want, but personally, if I was going to use the term dream job, it had to be a 6-figure income, right? I determine my own income. So in other words, if I outperform a 40-year-old in my job, I also want to out-earn them. I don't want promotions to be given out based on seniority, right? Freedom, not only just to make my own schedule, although that was important. I never wanted to have it clear with PR or with HR that I could take personal time off. If Montana gets dumped on with snow on Thursday, then I could just not schedule anything on Friday and head on out, you know? And that type of spontaneity I think is important. But more important than that is the autonomy of it. Like Shane was talking about, I didn't want to have to adhere to a standard operating procedures manual. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like, here are the results we expect from you, or better, the results I set for myself, and then just get them. Like, however you do that, fine, as long as you get them. If you do it really quick, then you get the rest of the time to goof off. Autonomy, right? And then impact. Obviously, I got addicted to that in Southwestern. And notice I put deep impact, even if it's a shallow number. I'll take a low number of people, but a deep impact. And that was kind of what I was looking at. So then you start to cross-reference it. Now I have my list, right? And now you go looking. Instead of going through the menu, you just go out into the industry and find the jobs that have your criteria. That's how the dream job assignment works. And the regrettable result for me is that I looked at financial planning, right? Well, they make a lot of money, yeah, they have a lot of freedom, but I don't think a financial planner really changes lives. So that's 2 out of the 3, like Jake was talking about. Freedom, okay, well, maybe I could be a psychologist. They have a big impact, right? They make a lot of money. Oh, wait. They tend to take their work home with them. It's a pretty high-stress job. They're on call sometimes, not a ton of freedom. Okay. What about a teacher? Teachers have a big impact, I would say. And they kind of have summers off, you know, like they have a good amount of freedom. Oh, they don't make any money. Dang it. And it was like all of them were 2 out of the 3, right? I'm not prescribing you the dream job list because I expect everybody to have that same conclusion. And no matter what it is, I think this is a useful exercise at your age, no matter who you are.